Medal of Honor, the highest honor a grateful nation can award its military heroes for acts of courage, self-sacrifice, and dedication above and beyond the call of duty. The history of America's survival is written in the blood of its fighting people whose devotion knew no limit. For the past 50 years, fighting men who wore the silver wings came from all over America when their country called. They learned to fly, they learned to fight, and they never flinched from facing combat. Some lived through 2 world wars. Many paid the full price. This is their story.
The American ambassador to France said it all in 1927.
He started with no purpose but to arrive. He remained with no desire but to serve. He sought nothing. He was offered all.
When Captain Charles A. Lindbergh landed in Paris on that May day in 1927, a jubilant city welcomed him. It was one spontaneous outcry that started in Paris and continued around the world. At home, the quiet, modest, serious-looking young man was greeted as a national hero, starting with a ticker tape parade in New York. The huge cheering crowds that lined the streets seemed to express a newly found national conviction that man could fly anywhere on Earth, that time and distance would now shrink, that we would all be neighbors. The lone eagle had proved it could be done. Lindy, born in 1902, was too young to take part in World War I. Perhaps the idea that someday he would fly began to crystallize then. In 1921, Lindy left the University of Wisconsin to enroll in a flying school at Lincoln, Nebraska. The art of flying was still in its infancy, and he soon mastered it, although he never graduated for lack of the $500 bond required of each student before soloing. He then joined a group of daredevil pilots and stuntmen who toured the country and put on exhibitions at county fairs. In the spring of 1924, Lindy enrolled as a cadet in the Air Service. In March 1925, he graduated and was commissioned a second lieutenant. He was assigned to the 110th Observation Squadron of the Missouri National Guard, at the same time working as a pilot for an aircraft company in St. Louis in those early hazardous attempts to deliver the mail by air. Twice in the fall of 1926, while on runs from Chicago to St. Louis, Lindy had to hit the silk to save his life. Yet, by 1927, he had accumulated more than 2,000 hours flying time. He was ready to try for the $25,000 prize offered for a non-stop flight from New York to Paris. Using his entire savings, plus additional backing from friends, Lindy had the Spirit of St. Louis built under his personal supervision and according to his own design by the Ryan Airline Company of San Diego, California. The Spirit of St. Louis was completed on May 10, 1927. The test flight was non-stop, San Diego to St. Louis in 14 hours and 25 minutes. Two days later, Lindy was in New York, ready to go. But weather conditions held him back for more than a week. Finally, on May 20th, 1927, his sturdy little plane lifted off. To carry as much fuel as possible, he discarded his radio and parachute. For nourishment, he had 5 sandwiches bought at a restaurant. In the Smithsonian Institution today, you can see the tiny Spirit of St. Louis on proud display with its 220 horsepower Wright whirlwind engine. In December of 1927, by special act of Congress, President Coolidge awarded our nation's highest award to Colonel in the Air Corps Reserve, Charles A. Lindbergh, one of the 2 Americans ever awarded the Medal of Honor for an act of bravery in time of peace. The citation read in part,
for displaying heroic courage and skill as a navigator at the risk of life by his non-stop flight in his aeroplane, the Spirit of St. Louis, from New York to Paris, France, 21 May 1927, by which Captain Lindbergh not only achieved the greatest individual triumph of any American, but demonstrated that travel across the ocean by aircraft was possible.